Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome, everyone. This is Bengals On The Brain, and I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. The show is brought to you by First Star Logistics. We've got a big show for you this week because the Bengals have done a lot. I've done a lot since the last time we've talked. Bengals played their first preseason game. I went down there and saw 3 training camp practices, met a bunch of cool people, did a bunch of cool things, courtesy of First Star. You know, they flew me out there and put on a show and did everything. I mean, I had a bunch of first and only lifetime experiences from playing catch at Paycor Stadium on the field. If you guys didn't watch that episode, that was the last one. It's not just playing catch. We talk Bengals and do a 2023 season preview with the Bengalorian. And then I got to throw out the first pitch at a Reds game, which I'd like to analyze that and see what went wrong if we could at the end of this here. If you want to poke fun at me, I'm going to do it myself. So let's look at that. But also, everything at the First Star Studios with doing a show with Dave Lapham and Malik Wright, meeting everyone, getting together, and just having an awesome time overall, sitting in the suite at Great American Ballpark and catching a game. Never seen a Reds game before, so that was pretty cool. And from there, we've got the Bengals versus the Packers. Side note, I do want to touch on some of the practice stuff that I saw. I know I recorded. If you didn't see that episode, I think it's still relevant. Go back 2 episodes ago for Bengals on the Brain. I talked about what I saw in the first 2 practices. I never got a chance to talk about what happened in the Packers Bengals joint practice. That may come up as we're reviewing the film and the game. But if not, I'm going to try and remember to get back to that and give a few thoughts there because I did have some things written down in my notebook that didn't end up coming up throughout the game. So the first thing I want to start with is from practices, offseason to the game, I think we can declare a winner at right tackle now. None of the 5 offensive linemen started, and Jonah Williams was one of them. Now, Alex Capo, who returned to practice on Sunday, was injured, but I think this applies to the entire unit that starters weren't going to play. And most starters didn't play in this first preseason game. And mostly we just had Dax Hill, and then some 50-50 starters like Zach Carter, Joseph Osai, guys that'll play half the games in sub packages or in depending on the opponent. But other than that, most of the starters did not perform. So that put Jackson Carman at the right tackle spot with the backups. And while on review, actually, I thought he was okay. There was the mental lapses in the early snap by Trey Hill that you even see the quarterback start yelling at Trey Hill as soon as he snaps it. That's why no one reacts. But you would like to see these guys move eventually. But on review, when they replugged in Carman, he just seemed like he was out of it. And I think overall his mechanics, everything from technique to how quick he reacted to his hand placement was much worse than it was when we saw him at left tackle only, or left tackle last time, I should say. And I think that's part of where I wanted to go with that. If he's only a left tackle, if that's only where he's comfortable, because now this is 3 off seasons in a row now where he lost battles at left guard, and right tackle. But yet when we see him perform at left tackle, he's okay. He's serviceable. You can get in and out of a game with him. If that's all he can provide, that really hurts his versatility. And it really hurts his chances of being the number 1 swing tackle, the guy that you're going to activate on game days because you need him to play multiple positions. It's great that Carman is a serviceable left tackle, but if he can't do anything else, where does that slide him in the pecking order? Behind guys that I think are playing really well, I thought in practices and in the game, both, especially Deontay Smith, looked really good in practices and the game. I thought Hakeem Adeniji continues to do what he's always done, which is just be a solid, probably a 4-position player on the offensive line. And I think they value that because you activate that guy. If someone goes down, you can put Adeniji in and probably get out of the game. And I know he's not great. I know he struggles with a lot of things. He's boxy, he's tight. But he can pull, he can get up into the second level. He's a good extra O lineman when they go into jumbo packages to play tight end. So there's value there. Deontay Smith also has experience doing that. So does Jackson Carman. So that third offensive tackle has to be able to play that jumbo package as well, which means you're on the right side a lot. And if that's an issue for one guy, we have to reevaluate what his worth is on this roster. And that sucks. That even I'm going to put it bluntly, we're looking at a third-year guy that's still young. That was a second-round pick, and we can't get him on the field. We can't even. Now we're wondering. We went from, oh man, this is decent in the playoffs, to he could win the starting right tackle job, trade Jonah Williams, to he has lost the job for the third year in a row in the summer, and now we're wondering, is that even worth keeping on the roster? I wanted to touch on a couple other positions on the interior of the offensive line because I think that is where they're the weakest. If you still say at tackle, we've got Carmen, Deontay Smith, and Hakeem Adeniji, and then of course La'el Collins. Let's not forget about him. At some point, he will be healthy enough to make a decision on when and how that can help the team. They're probably fine at tackle, better than most teams. If you look around the league, I know it's hard to even watch the Bengals preseason game, but watch these other preseason games. Offensive line play, as soon as the second and third stringers come in, it's an issue around the league, and these backup defensive ends are just teeing off on them. But on the interior of the offensive line, the Bengals are rolling out there Cody Ford, and then Adeniji and Deontay Smith are doing that, playing there as well. But it's Cody Ford, Trey Hill, and Max Sharping are the first guys off the bench. And I have to wonder if that's good enough. Cody Ford's got his issues. I think he's still the same guy he's always been. He's a powerful, wants to play in a phone booth and wants to wrestle you. But if he misses, he's done for. He really doesn't have the recovery speed. He's not always in a good position to recover and win the second and third phases of a play. He struggles to re-anchor and regain his balance and get a foot down. Where Trey Hill, I think, does that very well, but he just can't move. Trey Hill can't move, and if he loses instantly, it's done for him. But power-wise, he can re-anchor. And then Max Sharping, who's playing center for the first time, snapping. I think all that looks good. He had one bad snap in practice. I wonder if he is good enough at center already to be your backup center. It's kind of a late transition, a late move, a late, effort to try and secure your future in pro football. He's an okay, serviceable guard to get you out of a game. He does lose leverage. He does sometimes play with poor play speed and leverage. But at center, I thought he was mostly fine. Do you want a 6'7" guy at center? So the evaluation is still ongoing with those three. I think that's definitely a position the Bengals could claim or look for at the cutdown day, is to see if they can find a backup center. Nate Gilliam and Ben Brown are the other two. I thought both were fine against third stringers. So we've got to see, maybe they get elevated play. If it's not week 2, then maybe week 3 of preseason. Maybe you get them in there a little bit earlier and see if they can hold their own against some of the top guys. And with that, now we're going to move on. We're going to hit the film. We're going to look at some running backs. I want to see how Chase Brown and Chris Evans did. And I want to see how Andre Iosivas did in his rookie debut. They gave him 11 targets, 10 officially, as one was legal hands to the face by, I want to say, Jackson Kirkland, who we didn't talk about. Jackson Kirkland, whew, I'm not sure he's good. At this point, he doesn't make the roster. And I'm wondering about if you even waste the practice squad spot on him based on what I saw in practice and in the first game. He's a rookie. He's got his chance to do better, perform better. He's got 2 more games of that. We'll have to see. He's a little too tall, doesn't play with leverage, can't sink, and he doesn't move very well at all. We've got a play in here when we look at the running backs, you'll see. And then Iosivas is what I wanted to say. We'll look at him, look at his first game. And if we have time, it might be Thursday's episode. We'll see how quickly we get through this, because we got 2 episodes a week. If you're a long-time viewer, it used to be 1 episode a week. We would cram everything in and miss a lot of guys. So it may be offense today, and then in 2 days, we'll put on the defensive film and see how, man, this safety room. And then we got some defensive linemen that stood out too as well. So let's hit the film. Let's get to it right now. One of the biggest plays from Friday night's game versus the Packers was out of number 25, Chris Evans. Third-year guy is looking for some playing time. And this is a GY counter. Guard is the G. He's going to pull over and hit the defensive end. And 87 is Tanner Hudson. He's going to come by all the way front side and try and get a linebacker. 63 is Trey Hill, by the way. And we're going to see a down block on the right side. And Chris Evans is going to take a step to the left and then run to the right. This is all to keep the timing correct so that when he gets to the point where the hole is supposed to be, he's right on time, and they're clearing the lane for him right there. He can hit it, get up to full speed, run through some arm tackles, and then the guy's got enough speed to make it a big gain, get a couple extra yards after contact there as the guy's falling down and trying to wrap him up. But this is a great run for Evans, mostly because he's at times too creative, doesn't have great vision, can try and bounce things when they're not there, and can cause some issues. But this is a very designed run. You have to be patient. You got to follow your blocks, and he nails it. So this is really good to see out of Evans. Next play is with Chase Brown, number 30 in the backfield. And it's a very similar situation. We're going to pull Max Sharping from the left guard position. He's going to aim for that linebacker as he pulls. And watch Jackson Carman, number 79. If you're wondering, bad game from him, but if you're wondering what he provides, it's going to be the power in the run game. And you see how he displaces that defensive tackle upon contact. And then as the D tackle is going to spin back to the play side of the run, Carman's going to stay with him. So just natural power out of this guy. That's why you want to see him hit these plays and be able to do what he's supposed to do because he can be an asset in the run game. Number 82 is Brock Bowers at the end here. And you can see instantly, like, here's the gap. Here's where it's going to be for the running back to run. Max Sharping's pulling across. He's going to seal the left side when he gets contact with that linebacker, which he does. And there's the hole for Chase Brown. He can hit it. But the problem here is Bowers, number 82 at tight end, really gets pushed into it. And that hole just completely deteriorates. There's nothing left there. And to make injury to insult here, insult to injury, yeah, Bowers gets dumped at the end of the play. So let's watch it one more time at full speed, and you can see how quickly that hole closes because the defensive end really collapses the tight end. So you'd like to get better blocking on that side of the play. Next play here is from a under center. You normally get these wide zone runs, but the Bengals are incorporating more of this from the shotgun. And so it's very similar play here where I think he wants to go between tackle and left guard. But his first read here is watching Deontay Smith versus Lucas Van Ness. So as you see here, we're going to focus on those guys because that's the first place the running back is going to look here. We got a little jet motion too, which is going to show us we got man coverage. But first eyes for Chase Brown is at the edge where you see Lucas Van Ness take the inside. And as soon as he does, Chase Brown at this point recognizes I can't go up that way. I need to take this all the way to the corner. And he hits the burners, swipes down Lucas Van Ness's outside arm, and aims for that corner. But the problem is the actual corner is there, who Andre Iosivas was supposed to block. Let's go back real quick and let's see what happened on that play. Because I don't think Yoshi knows the plays could potentially bounce out here. He probably knows potentially it could, but he gets thrown down pretty easily. And that corner comes up and makes a very nice tackle on the play. I think that was Carrington Valentine out of Kentucky. Chase Brown, though, showing the athleticism of jumping over him. We don't want to see that too much, but it is a glimpse, I think, of his future upside from an athletic standpoint. Next play here is a check down to Chase Brown, which he's going to turn it upfield and outrace that linebacker. And that's exactly what the Bengals are looking for. This is an explosive play from the passing offense at running back, which they don't get very much. So let's watch Chase Brown. You got 4 rushers here. So quickly, as the running back, you're looking for a 5th or 6th guy that could potentially come and blitz. And that's how you know if you're going to stay in. So these 2 are the potential blitzers at linebacker. Let's focus on the guy right above us. He goes out right away. Look at the other linebacker. He's going with 82 Bowers right away. So you are free to release and get into your route, which he does. Almost hits number 62 there. Kind of does. But still, catches the ball. Now I just have to outrace this linebacker, which Chase Brown looks fast right there, man. Real fast. And actually gets maybe 5 yards extra out of it after contact with the corner downfield. So good play by him. And we'll move on here to the very next play here that doesn't go for anything. Again, so we got a couple of these. Chase Brown wondering why his numbers are so bad. Number 60 is Jackson Kirkland, the rookie undrafted guy. He's going to try and knock this defensive end inside and then climb up to the linebacker and seal off this running lane for Chase Brown. But look real fast. I'm going to highlight it. The defensive end grabs the shoulder pad of Kirkland. Kirkland can't get off him quick enough. It's too late to get out there and make the block. You've got to be able to get off of this freely. Let's move Kirkland and see what it would have looked like if he is on that linebacker the way he was supposed to be. You would have a really nice lane here to run if you're Chase Brown. Look at it. That would be it. And you'd cut it upfield. And he was about to. He tried to. He just kind of got knocked down by Kirkland as well at the very end there. So Little things like that, I think with a better offensive line, you're going to get more production out of the rookie right away. So we've got another guard, tight end, pull, counter on this. This same exact play. We're going the other way this time. So those guys are going to pull to the front side. If you watch here, though, Devin Asiasi is kind of in the way of Chase Brown, so he can't get up to full speed. You see how he has to stutter step there, and then he has to avoid Hakeem Adeneji's left leg there. He picks up the first down. He gets just enough, remains balanced just long enough as he's falling forward to pick up the first down. But ideally, if you get better blocking here, I mean, this could have been a much bigger play. Ideally, that'll happen when you have the starters out there. So it's encouraging because his numbers look so poor because of plays like this. Again, we're going to go back to Devin Asiasi, pick on him a little bit here on the final play from this set of clips that I gathered. Watch Asiasi as he's going to have to block the edge defender and allow Chase Brown even a split second to make a decision, and he fails to do so, and the rookie running back is made to eat dirt right away. Chase Brown and Chris Evans taking advantage of their opportunities to fill in for Travion Williams to maybe compete for that, not just the running back 2 spot and that third down role, but how many running backs do you keep? Do you keep 4? The Bengals traditionally have, but that 4th guy's got to play special teams. Chris Evans did. He actually made a tackle on special teams as well. I thought he looked really good in practice on special teams. So is he not just winning a roster spot? Can he carve out a role in this offense? Again, we're asking this in year 3. Maybe he can this time because he looks better. And if he runs with more discipline, I think that's what can get him on the field. And for Chase Brown, he's got to continue to pass protect and show he can do that and make strides in progress there. Speaking of all of that in the evaluation process is the First Star Logistics. Bengals on the Brain. I'm trying to get the glare out of there. I don't think it's going to happen. You're going to see my ring light right in between there. But Bengals on the Brain 2023 evaluation guide. This is produced by First Star Logistics. This is something we've worked on a whole bunch, and we've talked about it on this show about all the work we put in and how often and how much time we were working on it and how often we're going to reference it. Well, you can get yours now. You can get the digital copy. There'll be a link below, or you can go to firststarlogistics.com, scroll down to the bottom. You can get physical copies while supplies last. Fill out the information. First Star is taking care of it. They'll ship them out to you. So make sure you get that. And next up now on the show, let's look at the guy who probably made the most noise. Maybe not just in camp, but I mean, putting the cherry on top for the first preseason game, Andre Iosivas. He had 10 targets, caught 4 balls for 50 yards, but the performance is actually better than that. Let's take a look at the film and see how the rookie did in his first NFL game. Maybe the biggest star on offense in his debut was Andre Iosivas, wide receiver out of Princeton, the rookie here. Top of your screen with him circled for you. And he's going to get a bunch of go balls, jump balls, stuff where he's got to be a big receiver that can play and make plays. And honestly, uses physicality. And in fact, listen to Duke Tobin and how he talks about Andre Iosivas.
Andre, big body, 6'3", 205.
Yeah, they're really starting to catch the ball away from his body now and really becoming confident in that, using his size. That's what big guys have to do. They got to be able to use their size, not let the ball get in on them. And he's really done a good job taking that on and making those improvements.
And making those improvements. So they go right back to him and do the same thing again, and he catches it away from his body, shielding the defender. This is what Duke Tobin wants to see. I think he was very clear on that for a reason. You want the big body guys to play like big body guys. We talked about this during the T. Higgins profile, how his contested catch success rate went up every year in the league. A lot of times these rookies come in and that's more of a shock to them is, oh, these guys are physical. I can't wait for the ball. I need to go play big. I need to attack the ball every chance I get, come back to it, be strong, box guys out, go up hard for every pass. And that might be the adjustment for Iosivas. As we see right here, a lot of people said, hey, that was pass interference. It might have been, but as we know, you cannot rely on the refs to get it right every single time. I think Iosivas could have angled his route or his destination to the ball going upfield rather than kind of drifting and staying horizontal and letting the defender get to his back. So it probably would have been a body catch every time, and I think he could have adjusted a little bit and come back to hit. The next play is again another fade down the side with press coverage as the corner is over top of him. The ball is high. Is it catchable for a guy that's supposed to be a big receiver? That's debatable. I don't have a clear enough angle here or a slow enough replay that really gives us that vantage point. But this is probably his best play of the night as he gets yards after the catch. Great block there, right? Number 18. Perkins, I believe that is. No, it's Lassiter, isn't it? I don't want to mix last year's undrafted receiver. Anyways, point is, back to Iosivas. Catching this ball over the middle, making guys miss, getting back upfield. This looks like T. Higgins, right? That's what Higgins is, more than a jump ball receiver. We did a whole episode on that, and plays like that are what Higgins did. So we're going to continue to get these quick slants and digs, these short dig routes, short glance routes. And there's a penalty on this play, legal hands to the face, but I wanted to include it because he really had 11 targets, catching 4 for 50 yards. Only 10 of them counted, 10 of the targets. This one gave us a glimpse of what Duke Tobin would like to see. And this is downfield ability, showing your speed, showing your ball skills, showing being a physical big receiver. And I think when you look at this and you see him turn, high point the ball, catch it with his hands away from his body while being contacted, he's within 2 to 4 inches of getting both feet down. Now, I don't know that he actually maintains contact or control of the ball through contact with the ground. That would have been the debatable part. We would have had more angles probably during the regular season. But still, I think that's a positive in your first game ever to go up and make a play like that. I've got no issue there, uh, even though it doesn't count. It's preseason, right? That's fine. We're going to keep going because it's about player evaluation. It's not about the wins and losses and things like that. Again, we get another catch underneath. He's going to turn it upfield, get a few yards after the catch. This is what we want to see as well. So the few things we want to see here. We want to see him be big. We want to see him make plays while being contacted and fighting through contact like a big receiver should. And then I want to see him get some yak. I thought he did that at Princeton very well. And that's one of the reasons why I liked him potentially playing early in the NFL, because I thought he could at least do that and provide something from that. We're going to get some blocking plays here twice in a row as Lassiter is going to take the quick bubble screen on both of these based on coverage. It's just an RPO look, and I think they just flip it out to him. And each time, Iosivas does a good job blocking. So as we saw in the earlier film, Yossi didn't have a great block on the one run for Chase Brown, but he gets 2 nice blocks here for his fellow receiver to pick up the first down. And I believe this is the last one here. We're in empty, and Yossi's going to run an out route here because coverage, the outside guy goes deep. The linebacker hooks up underneath. And I think, reading lips here and just based on what is going on, I think Jamar Chase is saying, yo, Yoshi, hey, sit down. Just sit down on that. Sit down. You see his mouth? Because I think what you're making it harder on yourself by going outside. I think that's a you got to communicate with the quarterback here. So instead of running an out route, he could have just sat down a little bit there and hooked up on it and gave himself a better chance to catch that ball. So that's who stood out to me on offense. Wasn't a great offensive day. There's more to talk about on the defensive side. We're going to go over Tyson Anderson, Dominique Davis, J2 Fele. We're going to look at Jordan Battle. Dax Hill made a play that's going to get everyone excited. And then we've got some corners, too, to look at and talk about. There's a lot going on defense, so we're going to spend more time there. I wanted to spend a minute, though, to talk about the first pitch at the Reds game. Awesome time. First Star Logistics set that up for me. They told me about a month ago. So I want to set it up a little bit. I got the ball in my hand, actually. They give you the ball at the end, of course, which is pretty awesome. There's a scuff on it. If I can, too much light. There's a scuff on it there from hitting the ground, if you haven't seen it yet. But about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, First Star reached out and said, hey, you want to throw out the first pitch at a Reds game? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. They're like, can you do it? I'm like, what do you mean, can I do it? Yeah, I can do it. I used to pitch growing up. So I was extremely confident. They even asked me the morning of, they're like, chances you're going to nail it. I'm like 95%. There's a 5% chance I miss because I've always been wild no matter what. My mechanics in anything were never great. So, I mean, like I routinely violated beating 2 in an inning, 3 in a game. They had to pull me out of the game when I was a kid. Very often I'd hit people. But about a month ago, I was like, okay, I want to do it sidearm. I was watching a San Francisco Giants pitcher. I was out at a wedding in New York, and he's like scraping the ground with his knuckles. And I'm like, I want to do that. Because I used to be able to do that. When I was a kid, I used to throw sidearm all the time. They never let me do it in the game. Because, again, it's hard to prove you can do it when you're wild. But I always knew I could do it. So I started practicing. And I looked good. I felt good. I didn't do it off the mound, though. I should have practiced on the mound because that changes your footing, right? You're going to take longer to plant off the ground than if you are on flat surfaces. The 60 feet, 6 inches, no problem. I can throw a ball far. I've always been able to. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun despite the miss. Let's check it out real quick because I want to break down some of what was going through my head just in case you ever get the opportunity to do it. Let's see how badly I failed, because if I'm going to call out players every week, I got to be able to call it myself too. So here we are, Bengalorean and I, before they say, hey, go out there. At least I think that's what they were saying. There was a moment here where there's a woman that's saying, again, I can't tell you what she was saying. I couldn't hear anything. It's like, I must have been freaking out a little bit. I tried not to. I tried to completely not think about it. You don't get a chance to really warm up. You get out there and it's like, here you go. I did throw 2 balls in the tunnel real fast to Ron, just to make sure I, wouldn't shred my arm or whatever, because we just spent the day before at Paycor Stadium throwing the ball for about an hour. So I was a little sore, but I was like, okay, let's throw a couple. All right, I feel good. Let's get out of here. Even the guy that's bringing us down through the tunnels was like, oh, you're better than 95% of people. You'll be fine. So I was like, I was cool. Out of a 10 of nervousness, 1 to 10, I was a 2 or a 3. I felt something, but internally I didn't know I did. So she's telling us and pointing, and like, I had no idea, no clue what she was saying. So I'm just like, yeah, waves to the crowd. And I guess they're telling us we can go out there now or something. So Ron and I are like, and she's like, at this point, she's like pointing, like, go ahead, boys, go out there. So I want a fist bump just to make sure we're on the same page here and step over the foul line. I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to get on the mound from the rubber, because they said you could either do it in front or on the rubber if you want. Feel free to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it from the rubber, and I'm going to throw it sidearm. And there it goes. And as you see, I did not take my time. I just stood up there, and that's definitely something I'd like to point out, and barehanded it back. So give me 1 point of credit back there on the scouting evaluation that I didn't completely falter even after the embarrassment. But as you see here, I'm holding the ball up. If you guys ever coach kids, you hold the ball up typically, then put it in the machine, or you hold the ball up, tell them no, you're coming, and then you throw it. So I've been doing that for the last year with softball girls, and I'm like, of course I do it again. So I hold the ball up and throw it, and then Bengal's not even ready, right? He's not even in a stance. There's no glove for me to look at and make my contact with. And then at this point, I remember thinking, like, there's people at the backstop. Why would you have people back there? This could get crazy. And then I go sidearm with it, of course. And I just released late because, not being able to plant my foot and get it down. But the pictures came out awesome. Look at that. Look at the form. Yeah, you can see it. I thought I looked good doing that, but good time. Lots of good times. And with that, that puts a bow on my week in Cincinnati. Awesome time with First Star Logistics. Just, if you ever get a chance, because they do a lot of giveaways, so keep an eye out for Twitter, Instagram, and everything they do. They're always trying to give something out or do something. They're providing books, like I said, link below. Giving away jerseys, I saw Malik Wright was doing today. Keep your eyes peeled. You might even get a chance to get in the suite one day. If you do, take the opportunity. Reds games, Bengals games, it's awesome. Such a good partner so far. I love what they've done with Bengals on the Brain, helping me elevate to another level. And this has been Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry. I'll see you guys again Thursday instead of Friday, because the Bengals play again on Friday versus the Atlanta Falcons. So look for the defensive review. We got a lot of things to point out, probably more things to point out, more film for that episode. And that'll be just in a couple of days, guys. Until next time.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.